Hello everyone, welcome to today's session and today we're going to discuss the World Health Assembly, an extremely important international convention or summit or a session that takes place on an annual basis, World Health Assembly. And this comes under the aegis of the WHO, the World Health Organization, right? A prime arm of the United Nations. And our Prime Minister went there in May and delivered a session which proved quite informative in terms of how we perceive our health systems in relation to the world and what we, as the pharmaceutical capital of the world, a leader in the pharma industry, seeks to achieve in conjunction with the world. Right. So this year's assembly was actually the 76th assembly. So you can figure out that it goes quite a long way back, right? And this took place in Geneva, where it takes place every year in Geneva in Switzerland, which is the headquarters of the WHO also. Right? So the Prime Minister in this session talked about the gaps in global health architecture, which were exposed during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the PM said a few things on these lines, such as the health gaps globally, in terms of access to medicines, access to vaccines, access to vaccine technology to manufacture them locally, that sort of a thing. So he emphasized on a collective effort to build resilient global systems and boost global health equity. Right. He also pointed out that India exported or shipped, I do not use the word exported generally here because some we were donating to countries that needed it. We donated approximately 300 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines to over 100 countries, right? Including many countries from the global south, not just the first world countries, but global south. Global south here denotes developing and underdeveloped countries. Okay, please remember that. Global south. And this has nothing to do with geography. Underdeveloped countries. Okay, I hope this is clear so far. And considering that we have a Ministry of Ayush, which is a unique thing across the world, wherein we do not rely on allopathic medicines alone. We recognize that we have an inherent ancient traditional system of medicine. We have a Ministry of Ayurveda, Yoga, and that sort of a thing, wherein the Ministry of Ayush, the full form for which is Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, होम्योपैथी नेचुरोपैथी भी इसमें आ जाता है and homeopathy. इनके लिए we have a Ministry of Ayush which takes care of the traditional medicine systems. And India is going to be the center of the world's WHO's first global center for traditional medicine. Okay. And India's vision for good health this time was on the lines of its G20 theme, One Earth, One Health. Okay, remember the theme this time, right? And we are not just concerned with the Prime Minister also emphasized on the fact that we are not just concerned with the health of humans, but animals also, considering the impact animals and their ecosystem have on our lives, right? The COVID-19 pandemic, for example, right? Zoonotic diseases which occur on a yearly basis in different parts of the world, dengue, malaria, seasonal diseases, right? So to avoid all of that, it is necessary to bring the entire ecosystem into our focus and not just humans. Right? A bit more about the World Health Assembly. The World Health Assembly is the highest forum available in the WHO architecture, right? It is governed by 194 member states. There are some observer nations as well. Palestine is one of those observer nations, and it is the highest health policy setting body, highest health policy setting body in the United Nations in the WHO, right? And annually, the meeting takes place in Geneva at the Palace of Nations, which is in Switzerland, right? It's also the headquarters of the WTO, of the WHO, which I just said, right? The main task of the World Health Assembly are to discuss major policy decisions as well as to approve WHO work program and budget, right? Elects its Director General after every fifth year, elect the Director General, budgeting for the WHO, fundings, that sort of a thing. Also to supervise financial policies, review the budget, that sort of a thing, right? 124 members we have seen, and each year, the one more thing is regarding the executive board of this body. The executive board, the board which actually carries out the tasks on the ground basis. The WHO elects members from its ranks to renew the executive board, right? They must have an equitable geographic distribution and shall be elected for 3 years. As a 3 year term, geographically spread out so that the entire board does not consist of people from just one part of the world, right? And there is representation given. That is the focus here, right? The main resolutions at last finally are that there needs to be international health regulations, okay? International code of marketing of breast milk substitutes, of breast milk substitutes, which happened in 1981. Thirdly, there's a framework on tobacco control adopted in 2003. There's also a code on recruitment of health personnel. So recruitment also takes place according to these resolutions. 2010 was the last time recruitment के ऊपर change हुआ था, right? The WHO is also responsible for the endorsement of WHO family of international classifications, right? Classifications also, wherein they determine the international classification of diseases, threatening, very severe, that sort of a thing, very dangerous, you know. So classification on the basis of their threat. Right? That is also the function of the WHA, World Health Assembly, right? So that is all about the World Health Assembly or WHO, the WHO's primary decision-making body, such as the UN has the World General Assembly, the WHO has the World Health Assembly. And that is all we need to know about the World Health Assembly. I hope you had fun. We will meet in another video for another summit or convention. So, thank you.